Welcome back to the London Food Network podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian Candelon, founder of the Fresh Fish Shop, the London Food Network, and Embrace AI Consultancy, where we help food and businesses grow and scale through AI and automation. Today, I'm joined by Charlie from MasterGuest, a platform that's reinventing mystery dining for the modern hospitality industry. Instead of amateurs and admin headaches, MasterGuest uses trained industry professionals to deliver accurate, actionable insights, fully customizable visits, and clear performance reporting. It's already trusted by some of the UK's best restaurants and bars. So let's jump straight in. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Thank you. Just kind of catching up on myself, as I explained earlier. Busy mornings on a Monday morning. So, Charlie, Tell me a bit about the MasterGuest, because I was really intrigued by this, because having worked in hospitality very briefly in the past and understanding the kind of mystery shopper type thing and some of the places I've worked at in the past. What wasn't working? What have you created and why?
We always use mystery dining as operators, but we never really got the information that we wanted to. We always thought it was a great idea that was executed badly.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea came from a couple of favors I did for managers who just opened separate venues. I went there, had a dinner, and I basically just gave them like a novella of how their venue was. That then went up the food chain. And I got a couple of calls within the space of a couple of days by the founders, the MDs, saying, this is good stuff. We don't get stuff like this. It's really in detail, the idiosyncrasies, all the little finer details that nobody really knows about restaurants unless you really know the inner workings of restaurants. And we ran with it. And now we're doing restaurants, gyms, everywhere from West Coast US to Middle East.
Wow. That's quite a significant kind of a move from just literally giving a good quality review to someone to scaling to that. You make it sound so easy. I'm sure
it was one sentence, but it was 4 years. It was a blurb.
Well, then let's go back to the beginning. So what is your background then? So you've worked in hospitality before, restaurants specifically?
Yeah, failed golf professional. Bartended whilst I was trying to be the pro golfer, and then found out it was quite tricky to do that, and just kept going. I had this really interesting, now it's interesting, at the time it was chaos and nobody really understood what I was doing it, but I always just went into a venue, worked at a venue for 6-12 months, learned that genre of the industry, whether it be gastro, pubs or restaurants or clubs or up to my knees in mud at Glastonbury. Learned it, and then went somewhere else. For me, it was about the spectrum of hospitality, understanding one area and then going to the opposite end and learning the other area. So by the time I got to 28, I'd pretty much worked in literally spit and sawdust clubs to fine dining, from glass collector to operations manager. And that was always the plan for me, just to see what I liked, what I could resonate with, what I understood, and what I wanted to eventually be at, because I always wanted to start my own business. Never really knew what it was going to be, but just spent 10 years literally connecting the dots around the whole hospitality world.
Yeah, I find this is why I love this kind of podcast story, because, you've started off from a kind of completely different direction, really kind of ended up in hospitality. I mean, I guess as a byproduct of trying to achieve something else, right? And then there's something about the industry, it kind of just captures you, right? And I think that's what it is because the entry level is kind of there is no entry level really. Anyone can come along, but the possibilities of what you can do and can become are almost endless, right? And I've seen people come into hospitality from pot washing, glass collecting, whatever it may be, and I've ended up doing some incredible things with that knowledge, because the knowledge you pick up in this fast-paced, relentless, unforgiving industry that's often way underpaid, stressful, and unsociable, there's something in it that drives progression, and it's beyond the money, clearly. So I guess there's a passion for maybe the people, the industry. We're masochists. I haven't worked it out, and I'm hoping that by the time I've done enough podcasts, I'll work out what is this mental condition that kind of puts people in this industry and kind of spits them out in all kinds of different things.
Yeah,
in a nice way, by the way. It's a nice thing. Right?
I don't think anybody grows up dreaming to be a general manager or a landlord. But you're right, there's something about it. For me, it's the fact that it's everything, right? It's finance, it's marketing, it's people, it's legal, it's sales, it's just the works. And you're thrown into it when you're 22 and an assistant manager, and it's fight or flight, it's sink or swim. And
Yeah, right.
some people saying can go, I'm gonna go be whatever, and some people are like, I love this. I'm gonna give up every weekend until I'm in operations and I'm 35 years old. I don't know why we do it, but here we are.
I was hoping you'd have the answer for me, Charlie.
I'm afraid not. No, I'm the guinea pig, but unfortunately, I still don't really know why I'm here. But
maybe that's what it is.
glad
Maybe it's an ADHD thing, or something that we thrive in chaos. Because that's kind of how I've developed my skill set, if you like, out of the food industry. Is just solving complex problems, because
nailed it.
The problems you do get in the food industry, doesn't matter where you're at, are extremely complicated. They are multi-layered. They come from everywhere, and you've often got to resolve these problems fairly quickly, because time is not your friend in hospitality. It kind of, I guess, helps to compartmentalize a lot of the chaos, maybe internally or something, if you want to go deep in the psychology of it. But anyway,
that's a different podcast for a different day, but it is an interesting conversation for sure.
Just sit on the sofa, Charlie. We'll change the theme of this podcast. But anyway, what you're saying, Charlie, I love it. And I like to dig deep into this, because I hope this podcast will prove as a really good kind of platform, I guess, for knowledge and insight into an industry that is incredibly complex, has endless possibilities, and really is an incredibly fertile ground for, like you say, all kinds of different things, whether you will naturally gravitate towards the legal side, the customer service, the sales, the accounting, the finance. I mean, the chefing side, the creativity, the boring operational kind of getting that right. I mean, it's just endless what you can do. And the progression actually is pretty quick as well. For those people that are like me, that can be very impatient, you can, if you wanted to, grow pretty quickly in the hospitality sector, because, like you say, most people will sink, really, at some point. And if you show the right kind of skill set, problem solving, perseverance, and resilience, then the world is your oyster, quite literally. And again, you're a prime example of that, because you've come into this industry, you've got to learn all these different parts of it, and off the back of that, you've created a global business that actually, well, I guess, pushes boundaries for a lot of the clients you cater for, by showing them what's wrong, how they can improve in a very structured format that's actually going to resolve problems, rather than just, damage their ego a little bit and then they move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, mate.
So let's talk about that journey a little bit more, Charlie, because you made it sound far too easy, and I'm sure it was not that easy to go from concept to fruition. So let's talk about that. So you've written this novella type script for a restaurant. Oh no, was it a restaurant you visited?
It was a hotel in Dubai on my honeymoon, which my wife wasn't very happy about, because I was taking notes. As soon as we walked in the foyer, I got my notes up on my phone, and Daisy just looked over. She was like, I know what you're doing. And I was like, this is fine. Don't worry about it. You won't notice it. And then the notes just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I sent it to, I think, reception, and it found its way to the ops director, who then came and met me for coffee, who profusely apologized and upgraded us and did all this kind of stuff, but then said, like, how do you know all this kind of stuff? And then bizarrely offered me a job, which was the funniest thing to ever make a educated complaint and then get a job offer. And then the second one was back in London, and to a restaurant that was an indie founder who just called me back and said, yeah, good stuff. I want this. So then we built it.
I mean, just like that, right? Just
like that.
Flip the switch. Boom.
No, spent 2 years thinking I could populate this from a Google sheet. God knows how. And then I was playing a bit of badminton at the time and met our now co-founder, Patrick, who's a software developer, AI specialist before everyone else was an AI specialist. And the guy's just a genius, and he's the perfect yin to my yang. I know operations, got a good black book, and, drive the business, the face of the business forward. And Patrick is just an absolute whiz with coding and algorithms and all these words that I'm starting to learn.
Only now.
So it was 21 when we made the business official, but it was a good 18 months where we were just continually circling the roundabout. and we fully launched Q1 2024. Jamie jumped on board as kind of head of operations shortly after, I think summer of 24. And then it started to really sort of geographically rocket. So we did Berlin, Copenhagen, now we're in the US, and now we've just got to Dubai about 2 months ago. But it's great because the reason why the name is called MasterGuest is master is completely transferable. And then so is guest as well, because we wanted to make it slightly more, at the start it was restaurants and it was central London. And the more I thought about it as a previous good golfer, this could work for golf courses, it could work for gyms, it could work for hotels, it can work anywhere with Wi-Fi, and it can work for anything as long as there's a guest journey. So MasterGuest is aptly named because it's absolutely vague. and and we got into gyms a couple of months ago. They said, so what exactly do you do in a gym for MasterGuest? But it's the same stuff, right? Like when you're outside, it's the curb appeal, it's the presence. We go into anal stuff such as like smudge marks on windows and leaves, like the slip mat when you walk in. Is it hoovered? Is it worn? Is it a trip hazard? The warmth of the building, the music, the ambience, stuff that's the same that's in restaurants, whether it's a corner shop or whether it's a restaurant Gordon Ramsay. You're walking from outside to inside and you want to feel a sense of warmth, right? So the format is exactly the same. It's just the questions that are different. And what's really important to restaurants, the gyms will just have something else that's really important. But, you know, when you walk into a business as a guest, the way that you're welcomed, whether you're walking into an office or a gym or a restaurant, you want a bit of warmth, a smile. How's your day going? What are you here for? In some other words. So that's how it's transferable, because it's the same stuff. You want to feel welcomed. You want to go in for whatever service product you're going in for, and you want it to be 10% better than what you expect. And then you want to walk out, and hopefully you want to walk back in a week later and get the same thing. That's where we're going with this, because there's a guest
experience, really, isn't it? It's just a guest experience, and that's anyway. A guest is really a client or a customer, isn't it? It's just a customer experience perspective. I'm trying to fine-tune that from start to finish, I guess.
Our mission statement is happiness equals execution minus expectation. Like, it's the simplest form of the formula. Like, you've just got to be a little bit better than what you expect, whether it's a burger van on the A38 or whether it's restaurant Gordon Ramsay, because one's going to be a $5 and one's going to be $2,000 for a table of 4. There's a certain level of expectation between both. And if it's slightly higher, good.
Interesting. So tell me more about the beginning then. So you created this, business off the back of a fag packet, essentially, until you created the actual brains of the operation, right?
Yeah.
And you only launched officially last year.
Pretty much. I think we did, I need to get my years right. We did some beta testing with the company that I last worked for when I was employed, ETM Group, and we did just a boatload of reviews for them as part of our testing, and that was 2023, I'm sure. And then I think that was about 200 reviews in the space of about 4 seconds. And then we did the classic debrief, mop up, final tweaks, and then put it to market properly in 24.
It's a pretty short journey in terms of actual trading, getting yourselves out there, and you kind of conquered the multiple continents already. So how does that work?
Conquered's a strong word, but we're there.
Well, I'm here to help you and boost you.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about that. So you've launched last year. You finally cracked the kind of back end of it, which is, I guess, is what powers the ease of being able to collate the information you gather from your visits in a way that's quickly transferable into a report, which is then kind of like action steps for that establishment to follow to essentially resolve these kind of issues. And then how haven't you grown it since? What is it? Is it word of mouth that's done most of the work for you? Do you guys
it's 100% word of mouth. So how we grow, how this really starts to grow in the future is we've got the sort of building blocks of my own black book, Jamie's black book, and then whoever we decide to bring on in the future. But then the clients, so let's say there are, example A is a 10 restaurant group. So within 10 restaurants, you've got 10 GMs, you've got 10 head chefs, you've got 10 assistant managers, you've got 10 probably sous chefs if they're half decent volume. Then you've got the umbrella of head office costs, head office people, boards, sales, marketing, BDMs, ops, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got 10 restaurants, you've probably got 4 in each who are actually working within the restaurant, and then you've probably got 1 person. So for every 1 venue, you've got 5 people who are in the know or of senior level, and let's be honest, probably want a free dinner. That's how we start to scale this. So we already utilize that. We've just got our own sort of black book as a sort of reserve list, effectively. That's how this starts to go. And when people have used different mystery dining companies, my favorite quote ever for one of our clients was the needle that broke the camel's back was when somebody sent in a review and said they were disappointed that their sushi was cold and raw.
No, you're joking, as if.
So hilarious, but great that that's the competition, right?
Wow.
And
Well, I
that's
guess,
why
yeah.
that's why we, use industry professionals, because like that's the absolute basics, right? But there's also so many other wonderful things about operational viability and zonal lighting and all this kind of stuff. And also things that they've used in the past or currently using to say, we also had this problem and we did this. Or do you want the contact for this because they were incredibly helpful towards, I don't know, something to do with audio. I don't know. But there's loads and loads of examples where this has come up for our clients where, it's good people linking good people with good people. That's what we're here for.
No, interesting. I mean, it sounds like valuable, because I guess what you're describing in terms of this cold sushi review thing is I guess the complacency that kind of, because this mystery diner thing has been around for a long, long time, right? It's nothing new. It's something that's been around for God knows how long. And I guess that's the problem with it, isn't it? Is that it's kind of become such a, I don't know, I guess, repeated process that along the way it's actually lost its core purpose, and it's not quite adapted to modern times, where particularly the establishments that want to do well and, like you say, want to provide this experience that's going to be that little bit above the expectation. That's kind of key to their business model at the end of the day, because it is a very competitive market, and it's there's a lot of different venues competing for a pool of people that's only such size, right? And you've got to be able to stand out. And especially when you're charging good money, having that point of difference, which is the experience the person is feeling when they go into these places. Because, I'll be honest, until I met my wife, who's within a big hospitality group, I never appreciated the finer things as much as I do now, because I kind of overlooked it a lot of the time, because I guess I wasn't really putting myself in these places. But when you do, especially go into somewhere, and especially now when you're going to spend your money, unless you're going to experience something that is above, not even your expectations, but above what you would yourself be able to do, then you're just not going to go there. It's as simple as that. But I'll quite happily spend good money if my experience is of a certain level. And I guess for businesses that are trying to provide that, you've got to protect it at all costs. And what you're describing as what you're providing is really the best solution for it, because unless you're going through that process, you're then relying on, I guess, GMs and reviews to do that process themselves. And, GMs are busy enough as it is, right? They've got enough problems to deal with. And
there's a couple of companies that we worked with before as well that did it internally. And I was like, well, guys, this isn't mystery dining. Everyone knows everyone. Like that is good feedback, but let's not play the game that everyone knows who that person on table 52 is, right? It's the GM from the sister restaurant. That's not a mystery. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
And in fact, if they scratch their back for this review, the GM's going to scratch their back for the next review. And going back to other competitors, the big thing that stands out for me, which I still really need to drill into our clients because they don't seem to understand it without me saying it, is you have Google, you have Facebook, you have Yelp, TripAdvisor, however many there are these days. Why are you then paying a company money for the same people to give the same feedback, maybe with slightly more degree of, direction? But the one thing that we do is provide it from senior professionals. So that's where you get the value from us, because you get an educated person giving you the feedback. You've got the public perception free from Google and TripAdvisor. We think there's a bit of value looking at feedback from your peers.
Yeah, and to be honest, not just that, but you know what, like Charlie, what the issue could be as well is obviously with the public making this kind of review. Yes, that's of course very good feedback, but it's completely unstructured, really, in the sense that it's not looking at measurables. They're just acting on the feeling at the time based on the experience they had on that time. But what you want to create is the framework in which to copy and paste the experience, and then you want to be able to assess it from an outside point of view that's going to create a KPI as well, really, for then the team to actually be held accountable to or praised for. And I guess that's the missing link in a lot of these kind of places is this kind of like middle ground between, yes, you need the customer feedback, of course, and the GMs need to do their thing, and everyone needs to do their thing to kind of upstand the company goals, culture, whatever you're trying to set as your standard. But unless you have an actual reportable metric that's externally created and verified from, it's going to be very difficult to create that kind of standardized goal, isn't it? And KPI metric that can be used or even to reward the team, I guess, right? I guess, do people use your reviews to create the KPIs to then reward their team? Is
Nailed
that
it.
part of the, yeah?
Yeah, at least half of our clients that we're aware of bonus based on the MasterGuest reviews.
And how does that work then? So if I'm a restaurant and, I want to speak to you, Charlie, because I want to make sure that my premises, all of them, my 10 sites are well looked after and we're all kind of doing what we're supposed to do. How does it work? Like, is it a set thing? Is it a quarterly visit? Is it a yearly visit? Or does it depend on the client? Like, what's the
Completely
process?
bespoke.
Okay.
How it starts is, we've got a few templates of this. So it's basically a blend of MasterGuest templates and Sebastian's restaurant's core values, and it blends to go make sure we hit these absolute service standards that Sebastian sets. And then MasterGuest is like making sure we hit all the parameters that Sebastian might forget. And then it kind of evolves from there. So we always do 3 trials, do 1 review, tweak, second review, tweak, and then you've pretty much got it nailed. It's as simple as that, really. But in terms of volume as well, we always suggest bi-weekly reviews because then it's pretty decent value. And then also you just get that constant work through of people coming through.
And yeah, I was just thinking like in terms of practicality and how does it work then? So the people doing the reviews, you say they're industry professionals. So what is it? Is it what kind of people are you looking for? And is it a case of, how do you find these people and how does that structure work?
So it's half from our black book and half from clients, managers that are currently working. So that's where we find all our people. They also get an Uber rating from historic reviews. So you get an A to D grade for the quality of review, which is subjective towards myself and Jamie's just opinion. And then you get a plus or minus based on the timekeeping. So if it's within 24 hours, you have a plus, and then a minus if it's after the 24-hour scope. Then that's how we grade our masters, and basically it means the best masters get the first dibs on the reviews that are coming through. Otherwise, it's a slight sort of cluster. There's a bit of blending towards it, but basically a Spoon's GM wouldn't go to a fine dining and vice versa. But those are the 2 parameters we use, is just making sure that if they're working in X industry, they generally go to X restaurants because that's where they really know their stuff.
Interesting. And who pays for the bill when they go and eat there?
It's kind of comped, it's swallowed, which is industry standard. The one thing that is slightly different to what we do is that we use gift vouchers. So before, there's a bit of a barrier to entry from a master side because they have to pay for the bill and then wait a week, 2, 3, 4 for it to be redeemed by the restaurant. But it also, for the restaurant, it creates that falsification of revenue. Mm-hmm. So the sales are skewed, the labor skewed, and the cogs are skewed until it gets to the P&L. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the numbers are slightly different to what they were reported on your POS. But for us, it's just a very simple, it's kind of like a false gift card. So to the team, it's just another gift card that's coming through. But on the tills and on the back end, it's been wiped.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I was kind of referring to, I guess, is from how do you structure it? And do they know who's coming and when? There's the complete anonymity. There's no rhyme.
Complete anonymity. And also with other mystery diners, it's a bit of a happy medium. It's a bit of an agreement because sometimes Sebastian's core values might want to be that, I don't know, a Coca-Cola served in a Coca-Cola branded glass, let's say. Now, there's certain things where if they're asking too many questions to the team, then the anonymity, if they've asked for a certain amount if they've asked for like 3 of the same questions, and they know that MasterGuest asked those 3 questions, that's when the sort of mystery starts to dissipate. So we actively say, we'll throw them in. The randomization is good because it means that it's going to throw up all different types of issues. We try and keep it as kind of vague as possible for the questions that the master asks.
And how many kind of key metrics at any one time is the mystery guest or master guest having to go through? Because I'm just thinking, okay, I'm your master guest. I've got to XY's restaurant and I'm sitting there. What do I have? Do I have a clipboard? Do I have a phone? And how do I
It's all on
I
a
mark all these different metrics in a way that's going to A, keep me on the radar, and B, actually let me to actually properly judge the place and
yeah.
have the
Well,
memory to then report it later.
it's got to be a blend of both, right? They've got to enjoy the experience, but also they've got to hit the metrics, as you say. So we do a maximum of 30 different points, and it's all on a web-based app. So it's very, very concise. Everyone's on their phones nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it
So
easier, right?
nobody stands out. It's all very, and also because we use MasterGuest templates and because everyone's really looking for the same kind of thing, they really know what they're looking for by the second visit, effectively.
And then the mystery guest, does he come along with a partner, like another person oftentimes or not? Because again, that would stick out like a sore thumb, surely, someone coming in on their own,
Multiple tables of one.
you know?
Generally, it's tables of two, but for us, we don't really mind if there's 3 or 4 of them because it's a tab, it's a budget. It's not here's what you can spend. And what we're seeing through MasterGuest is that generally between 50 and 80% of the bill, 50 and 80% of our fees are paid for by clients overspending in the restaurant. So if generally the tab or budget they're given is enough.
Oh, great. I get it. So if I was a master guest and I go to dine, I've got, let's say, £100 budget. I get carried away, I spend £200. 100 of that goes to the venue as full.
Of course.
Oh, okay. And then you just cover it. That's pretty cool, actually. I want to be a master
absolutely.
guest. That sounds fun.
And that's it. Because we're in the industry, my mum I'd give my mum 80 quid to go to a restaurant and she would spend £79 and she would she'd have the calculator up. But me and you would go there and go, well, we're going to get a bowl of pig ball, but let's get a bowl of Sancerre.
Oh, yeah, right. Interesting. Nice. Well, that's good, actually. In that case, it's a kind of win-win, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like for us as well, it's great to show the clients that, our fee is X and, at least half of it's already been paid for because, and credit to the restaurant because we find that the restaurants with the best reviews have the most overspend, Quelle surprise, because people love going there and are having a great time. So like, well, let's get another bottle of wine or let's get a what's it called? Road beer. Oh, road beer, you know what I mean. Nightcap, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, no, I think that's, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because that's why, again, I love this kind of podcast for the innovation that oftentimes I meet people like you, founders that have kind of, I guess, modernized is the best way to put it, or I don't know, brought back up to 25th century or whatever century we're on now. And it's, such an old dated method of reviewing a place. And you're not reinvented the wheel. You just simply brought it up to, I guess, a modern day kind of approach using the technology that we've got.
We're just on slicks
with a bit of a just a nicer, fresher approach to it, and it just makes so much sense, doesn't it? I think it must be a must-have really for any establishment that wants to do well and grow. I think you need this. Like, I've noticed it myself in the seafood business I run. Like when I had multiple stores, very difficult. Even when I've got less stores, even when I've got just one place to manage under my nose, I'm not there every day. I'm not there every minute, and I don't want to be either. So how else do you know what's going on aside from, yes, customer feedback, great, or every now and then I might log on to the CCTV just to make sure things are happening as they should, or I may walk past, you know what I mean? Like there's various ways, but really I never truly know what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
Unless somebody comes in and gives me the right feedback based on a structure, not their own opinion, but based on the structure that has been created for the metrics we want to measure. It makes a lot of sense.
And we use a blend of both. At the start, it was very subjective. It was very much like based off of the novella that I did. But now it's a blend of, because a lot of our restaurants are brands. So, it's about 80% objective and then there's about 10-20% subjective in there just for a bit of creativity and go, I know this is a brand, but brands evolve occasionally. So if there's correlation and 5 masters out of the next 5 say the same thing, then maybe it's worth a conversation to step outside of the SOPs.
And do you measure things like upselling as well, by the way, or is that on request? Because that's surely it's got to be an important thing. Because the any business really, I mean, it's just your average value of customer, right? The average basket size. For me as a business owner, I always want to make sure that every part of my business, whichever part, you've just got to make sure that you increase the basket size as much as possible for each client.
That in itself is an interesting question as well. We're big on the John Lewis kind of never knowing the undersold. Do you sacrifice a £5 side for the fact that you go, guys, there's 2 of you here and that's a huge amount of food. Are you really hungry, or have you just over-ordered unknowingly? And for me, that kind of service is great. I love when people say that, and I go, actually, no, I'm just starving, or I'm just an absolute pig. Send it through. But things like that, I think, are great to sacrifice a little to get a lot in the long term.
But it's about knowing that, though, isn't it? It's about recognizing.
There you go. So the question,
it's the same with sales. You can kill a sale by just pushing too much, right?
Yeah,
but
and
I guess it's that fine balance. It's just knowing whether they are getting the most out of that one particular client, using this kind of experience on whether you're going to actually, yes, you might upsell something now, but they'll never come back. So what's better?
The big difference for us is very simple. It's just one word. It's putting how at the start of every sentence. So for all our competitors, it's did they do this? Did they do that? Did they upsell? You can upsell like a robot and get a tick on a mystery dining report because technically you did say, do you want a side? But how did they ask for that side? How did they ask for allergies? Did they ask for allergies? Yes, 5 out of 5, cool. But how did they ask for allergies? Was it clearly a bulletproof process? Did they show empathy? Did they try and, there's so many things that actually, this isn't a finite, did they ask for allergies? It's a lot more than that. It's how do they do it? Did they care about it? And was it properly, did it get the respect it deserves? And that can be applied to everything, whether it's life and death like allergies, or whether it's how do they upsell? How do they treat your order? Whatever that may be.
No, absolutely. Because if someone does have allergies and they're restricted on some of the things they may have on the menu, then you've got to obviously switch on and figure out how to sell the things that they can have, and make sure that that customer is still looked after and still feels valuable and considered, if you like, by the end of that meal.
Yeah, of course.
So what's the plans for the future? What's your next 12 to 18 months look like?
Who knows yet? If you'd asked me that 12 or 18 months ago, I wouldn't have said Vegas and Dubai. But, we're shifting with the market. We're pretty adaptable. I mean, we're the epitome of adaptable. At the moment, what we're looking like is growing much further in the UK, because at the moment we're a lot of London and then probably another 8 counties. But what we will really want to do is get into the proper home counties, get into the Cornwall, the seaside towns. We're just about to launch in Scotland, but that's only with a handful of sites. So just basically get that heat map red hot effectively. But we go where the market is. We don't really plan these things because what's the point if nobody's there to facilitate it?
Well, I guess from your case, what you've built though is actually a scalable model, because what you built is the technology behind a business model that can really be applied anywhere, isn't it? It's a copy paste.
Yeah. When we got the email completely out the blue about the gyms,
which gym was it? Third Space or something like that?
One Rebel. They contacted us, and within 5 days we were live. Yeah, we don't really mess around with. We've got these templates. They've got their core values. It literally takes an hour to merge them, and then you're running, then you're testing, then you're tweaking, and then you're live. And there's no reason why this should be tied up in red tape and a flurry of emails and calls and face-to-face visits. We'll do that stuff if you'd like us to, but you've emailed us for a reason, right? There's a problem, or you want to get this thing motoring, so let's go, basically. So we can go live within sort of days. It's very easy.
So what's it sounds like a well-oiled machine to dominate and conquer the world, really, in terms of these guest experiences and feedback. So what are your challenges, though? What do you foresee as being obstacles along the way?
It's purely the contacts and you've said it a few times, and it is probably one of our biggest stumbling blocks, is that mystery dining has been around for a while and it's been crap for a while. So it's getting the sense of like, yes, we're going to use this 2-word phrase, but it's not like anything you've seen before. So we always do a free trial for somebody for exactly that reason. There's no strings. We're not naturally salespeople. We hate getting cold sales calls, and we don't like giving them as much as we like receiving them. So do this one for free and let's chat if you like it, and we'll leave it at that. And if we don't get a message back, then we don't push them, because,
that's a nice thing to do. You've always, it's just a typical kind of sales technique, I guess, in a way. It's just to have a hook.
And let the service sell itself, right? If the
Yeah,
service is good
exactly.
enough, they'll
Because,
use
like
it.
you say, I guess your biggest kind of obstacle is not necessarily the sales process, but it's the fact that previously the kind of industry, well, at least the niche, if you like, that you operate within has been kind of tarnished a little bit, and it's kind of become irrelevant due to just outdated ways of doing it and invaluable feedback. So it's kind of like reigniting the actual goal of what these things are or do and what impact it can have.
Yep, nailed it. Exactly right.
Nice. I mean, I think it's a great business, Charlie. I love anything like this that's scalable. I love creating solutions to problems. I love automation. I love streamlining complex things. I love, this kind of encompasses all of these things, but in a way that really helps to give back an enormous amount to the people that choose to recruit you guys for your services. I can't really see a negative in this. Well, apart from the obvious cost to the service, but then the return on that, I guess, is so significantly greater that it almost becomes a minor expense that's just part of running your business, isn't it?
Well, there you go. And it like this should be recession proof. And, hospitality's in probably one of the, like, hospitality specifically is in a
Mhm.
pretty deep hole at the moment.
Mm.
And yet every single one of MasterGuest clients is growing and buying sites. So read into that what you will, but it means that if you invest in the right way, hospitality it used to be a speed bump and now it's a mountain. And if you're on the right side of it, you're going to fly. And if you're on the wrong side of it, So
Yeah.
invest in the right things, invest in people, invest in service, and it comes good. Pretty
Yeah. And I
quick.
think particularly now with, like experiences seem to be something that people often overlook. It's no longer about the product. It's about the feeling around that product and the journey, right? And I think that's the kind of focus on for us as a seafood business. We've actually created an event space, for example, because people actually love the experience of knowing about the fish, how to cut it, and of course how to cook it. And that whole experience is oftentimes, I think, overlooked actually, and it's something that I think people crave more and more, particularly now that I look at this podcast now, right? 10 years ago, we would have had to do this face to face, and the way that the digital world has moved is kind of isolated us more and more. And I think we crave good, positive, fulfilling experiences more now than ever. And that's probably something that's going to continue to grow. So I think people will be looking out, whether they're conscious about it or not. I think subconsciously, I think we're craving experiences more and more. And when I say experience, I guess connection is really the biggest one. It's just connecting to what it is that you're doing, right? The product, the service around it, everything that's happened to get that product on your table, and how you've been put in the center of that journey rather than your money.
That's it. People love a story, don't they? They like innocence and they like the personal attachment and the empathy. As long as there's something behind it that feels good, then you're onto a winner.
Well, Charlie, thanks so much for joining me today. What you're building with
Thank you.
MasterGuest is genuinely pushing the hospitality industry forward, bringing clarity, accountability, and real professional insight back into mystery dining. If you run bars, restaurants, or hotels, or even gyms now, and you want to see how MasterGuest can elevate your experience, head to masterguest.co.uk or contact Charlie on his mobile phone. I'm joking. What are the channels, Charlie? What are the channels? Where do we find you, Charlie? How can we get on board?
We're on LinkedIn, but easiest to go through the website, which is very simply masterguest.co.
Amazing. And you've got all the big social media channels, your Facebooks, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff as well.
Just LinkedIn for
Just
social
LinkedIn.
media.
No Instagram, no Facebook.
Not yet.
We've got to fix that, Charlie. We've got to fix
All right.
that. And a big thank you, of course, to our sponsor, Embrace AI Consultancy, where we help hospitality and food businesses streamline operations and scale using smart automation. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you, Charlie. Really enjoyed this one, and I can't wait to put it out there. And we'll see you on the next episode of the London Food Network podcast.
Thank you, Seb.